Well, August 17th has come and gone, and the world did not explode. Yes, effective August 17, new rules in the United States changed how real estate agents are compensated in residential real estate deals. As a reminder, agent compensation was and remains negotiable. Hard stop. Now, buyers who want to view a home listed for sale by a realtor have to enter into some form of written agreement with a stated start and end, with buyer agent to disclose how much that seller will be paid at closing if you buy that house. The new rules do not include attending an open house, so attend away. The written agreement between you and your buyer agent can take several forms, depending on your state. In our market of Vero Beach, Florida, your options include 1, a showing agreement also known as a touring agreement in some states, between you and your buyer agent stating specific houses and the fee charged for you by the buyer broker if you buy these houses at any point in time. So compensation delineated. Or you can sign a buyer broker agreement, a broader agreement, sort of like a buyer version of a listing agreement that states the types of property you as the buyer are going to be looking for, and that the agent will search for on your behalf as your buyer's agent, and the fee you agree to pay if you purchase any property that fits into this criteria contained in the agreement. That criteria can be broad, such as single-family homes in Indian River County, Florida, not transaction or buyer property specific. Or a no representation agreement, a document stating that you have no buyer representation and have no agreement to remit compensation for any buyer broker services, period. You'd have no counsel, no advice from any realtor in your pursuit of a specific house or property. One of these 3 agreements must be executed before you can tour a home listed for sale by a realtor. These rules apply to NAR Realtor members only, but keep in mind, NAR Realtors comprise the vast majority of licensed real estate professionals in the country. But, and this is a big but, while buyers must execute one of these agreements to tour a property and commit to paying a buyer broker in most instances, the new rules also permit the seller to offer funds at closing to pay for your buyer broker, as they have in the past. The only difference with the new rules in the NAR is that the amount that they're going to offer is not public knowledge like it was in the MLS before. That means if you submit an offer with a request for the seller to pay X% or a flat fee at closing to your buyer agent for their compensation, and the seller agrees, you may have 0 liability to pay your buyer agent comp, or could just have to pay the differential, 1/4 of a point, or whatever that gap is. Unless your buyer broker agreement agrees to modify your listing, they could also reduce the amount and you'd have no liability. So always find out what the seller is willing to compensate for your buyer agent before you pursue a property. A good buyer broker will ask the listing agent up front what the seller is thinking and what they're willing to remit for buyer broker comp, so you'd know up front what, if any, compensation you'd have to remit if you purchased that house. Your buyer agent compensation is negotiable, as are all other terms and conditions of a purchase agreement. Find out upfront if you can best understand the closing costs and pursue a house or not, depending on what the seller's willing to do. In a slower market, most sellers are willing to pay some or all of the compensation to the buyer's agent, as they have in the past, but it's all negotiable. So be sure you hire a buyer agent who adds value to your search and is a keen negotiator. Who you work with matters. For example, when I represent a buyer, they typically pay 92.5% of the asking price. But when I represent a seller, I usually get my sellers 96.5% of the asking price. That's a 4% swing, and that really adds up to your bottom line. Comment buyer benefits to get a free copy of our 7-step buyer process that makes our expertise your expertise in your home search. Until next time, I'm Sally Daly of the Daly Group at Douglas Elliman in Vero Beach. Take care.